Well, first of all, anytime you have two bodies deceased at the same place at the same time, that in and of itself is suspicious. It makes me wonder if she took something in those pills and it was something that caused immediate for her as well.
Horrifying.
Gene Hackman's Santa Fe mansion had always been a place of quiet retreat, hidden behind high walls and surrounded by golden hills. But behind those walls lay a secret darker than anything Hollywood had ever whispered about. When law enforcement stepped inside, what they uncovered was more horrifying than any movie plot, something that shattered the glitzy illusion of fame and exposed a terrifying reality. It all started with a small, seemingly insignificant detail. The local mail carrier noticed that Hackman's mailbox was overflowing, a sight that was unusual for a man who was always meticulous about his daily routines. Concerned, a neighbor decided to check in. But when repeated knocks went unanswered, authorities were called. What they found was beyond disturbing. As the police broke through the heavy oak doors, an eerie silence greeted them. Dust floated in the beams of sunlight, and a thick, musty scent clung to the air. But nothing could prepare them for what was waiting inside. Gene Hackman, the legendary Oscar-winning actor, was found lifeless on the living room floor, his body curled, frozen in an unnatural position, his face rigid, almost unrecognizable. Beside him, his beloved wife, Betsy Arakawa, was slumped against the sofa, her arm outstretched as if reaching for something just beyond her grasp. There were no visible signs of struggle, no blood, no forced entry, but the atmosphere was suffocating. Something sinister had happened here. The police report was brief at first. Silent death. But nothing about this case would remain silent for long.
I think we just found one deceased person inside a house.
Are they moving at all?
No, dude, they're not moving. Just send somebody out here really quick.
The moment news of Hackman's passing leaked, a storm of speculation erupted. Was this just a peaceful end to a long life? Or had something far more chilling unfolded behind those closed doors? Then came the biggest shock of all. Within hours of the discovery, a convoy of black SUVs arrived at the mansion. No sirens, no flashing lights, just the quiet but unmistakable presence of the FBI. But why? Why would federal agents be interested in an elderly actor's passing? The answer was buried deep inside that house. When investigators combed through the rooms, they stumbled upon something that changed everything. A hidden door concealed behind a grand oak bookcase. The kind of secret passage you'd expect to see in a Hollywood thriller, except this time, it was real. Behind that door, tucked away in the shadows, was a locked safe, untouched for years. But when the FBI cracked it open, what they found inside left even the most seasoned agents shaken. Confidential documents, some marked eyes only, papers that should have never been in the hands of a retired actor. Names of Hollywood elites, powerful politicians, and industry moguls littered the files. But the real horror? Some of the names were linked to scandals that had never seen the light of day. Evidence of buried investigations, lost testimonies, and people who had mysteriously vanished. What was Gene Hackman doing with these documents? Had he been keeping them for protection, or was he planning to expose something? And if he had kept them hidden all these years, why now? Why did this tragedy happen at this exact moment? As investigators sifted through the safe's contents, another disturbing discovery emerged. A tattered, handwritten journal belonging to Hackman himself. The last few entries were chilling. "They're watching again." The words were scrawled in frantic, uneven handwriting. "I don't know what I did or saw, but they know I know." And then, just days later, he was gone. The FBI knew this was no ordinary case. Something, or someone, had been watching Hackman in his final days. But if he had feared for his life, why hadn't he left, reached out for help, or gone public with what he knew? Or worse, had he tried only to be silenced before he could speak? It didn't take long for conspiracy theories to take hold. Some claimed Hackman had uncovered a dark network operating within Hollywood, one that had been orchestrating disappearances, deaths, and cover-ups for decades. Others speculated that he had become a liability to the very people he once worked with, that someone powerful had decided it was time to close the book on his life. Then came another twist. The medical examiner's report revealed an unsettling inconsistency. Hackman and his wife had passed away at nearly the same time, but their bodies told two different stories. Betsy Arakawa's body was found near the bathroom, and the room was stiflingly hot. A small space heater had been running for days, accelerating decomposition. But why? Who left it on? Was it a calculated attempt to destroy evidence? Even more disturbing, scattered near Betsy's body were prescription pills, but not the ones she was known to take. These weren't standard medications. They were highly restricted, used only in extreme medical cases. And yet, according to her medical records, she had no prescription for them. Hackman, on the other hand, lay in a cool, untouched part of the house. His body showed no signs of struggle, yet his pacemaker, a device that recorded every heartbeat, held a clue that sent chills down investigators' spines. On the night of his passing, his heart rate had skyrocketed for nearly 4 hours before coming to an abrupt stop. Something had terrified Gene Hackman in his final moments. Was he running, hiding, facing his worst fear? And if so, what or who had pushed him to that breaking point? Then, the FBI found something that shattered the case wide open: a third cell phone. This phone didn't belong to Hackman or his wife. It was a sleek, modern device, hidden deep within the sofa cushions, as if someone had left it behind in a hurry. When they powered it on, their suspicions were confirmed. It was connected to an anonymous number. And in the days following Hackman's death, it had been used to make 2 mysterious trips out of the house. GPS data showed Hackman's phone leaving the mansion twice, after his recorded time of death. But that was impossible, wasn't it? Now the biggest question remained: who had been inside that house after Hackman and his wife were already gone? And what were they looking for? Whoever had been inside Gene Hackman's mansion after his death wasn't just a random intruder. They knew exactly what they were looking for, and more importantly, they knew how to avoid detection. The FBI reviewed security footage from the gated Santa Fe community where Hackman's mansion stood. Most vehicles entering the area were accounted for, except for one: a black pickup truck with no front license plate. It had driven in twice, both times during the exact windows when Hackman's phone left the house. The truck never stopped at the main gate. Instead, it slipped through a maintenance entrance, a restricted access point only a few people knew about. But the scariest part, no one had a record of the truck's owner, and its plates didn't match any registered vehicle in the state. It was as if the driver had appeared and disappeared without a trace. Investigators turned their attention back to the mysterious phone found inside Hackman's home. The last messages sent to it were even stranger. Every text contained the same cryptic question: "Are you ready?" But ready for what? A meeting? A confrontation? Or something far worse? As more pieces of the puzzle emerged, the case took an even darker turn. When the toxicology reports on Betsy Arakawa came back, they revealed something horrifying. She had been given a drug not legally available in the United States. This wasn't a typical sedative. It was a synthetic compound designed to incapacitate a person almost instantly while also wiping their short-term memory. It was often used in high-stakes criminal activities where getting rid of a witness was more important than leaving a trace. But how did it end up in Betsy's system? Her body showed no signs of force or struggle. Did she take the drug willingly? Was she tricked, or worse? Was she given it by someone she trusted? Then came an even bigger bombshell. The FBI retrieved data from Hackman's pacemaker, and what they discovered changed everything. At exactly 7 p.m. on the night of his death, Hackman's heart rate spiked dramatically, reaching levels that suggested he was either terrified or under extreme stress. It stayed high for almost 4 hours before dropping suddenly, permanently. Whatever had happened to Gene Hackman that night, it wasn't peaceful. He didn't go quietly. He was scared. He was fighting against something or someone. And then the final, chilling discovery sealed the case as far more than just an accident. Hidden behind a built-in closet in the master bedroom, the FBI uncovered an old safe. It wasn't just any safe. It was a relic from Hollywood's golden era, the kind designed to store valuables and secrets that no one was ever meant to see. When they forced it open, the contents inside sent a shockwave through the investigation. Inside were old, yellowed documents, but these weren't simple keepsakes from a legendary career. These were signed letters, blackmail notes, and transcripts of conversations that should have never been recorded. Names of Hollywood elites, directors, producers, A-list actors, even politicians were scribbled on fragile pages, linked to allegations that had long been buried. One of the files was labeled Nightmare Files, and according to an anonymous FBI agent, what was on it was so disturbing that even seasoned investigators had to look away. These files contained details of secret meetings, power plays, and disappearances, all tied to one unspoken rule in Hollywood: silence is golden. Speak, and you vanish. Had Hackman been keeping these secrets as a safeguard? Or was he about to expose something so dangerous that someone made sure he never got the chance? As the FBI pieced together the evidence, it became painfully clear. Hackman and his wife didn't just pass away. They were erased. Someone had been watching them for months, maybe even years. And the moment they sensed Hackman was becoming a risk, they acted. Even in his final days, Hackman knew something was coming. His journal, found in the study, confirmed his worst fears. "I don't know what I did or saw, but they know I know." Then, just days later, he was gone. The official investigation concluded with no clear answers. The FBI sealed the files, the house was sold off, and the media slowly forgot about the case. But in Hollywood, the whispers never stopped. People close to Hackman began to question everything. Was his death really natural? Or was he just another name added to the long list of stars who knew too much? The Santa Fe mansion, once a symbol of peace and retreat, became something else entirely. A tomb of Hollywood's darkest secrets. The deeper you look, the more terrifying it gets. Because in the world of fame, some people are worth more dead than alive, and Hackman may have been one of them. The FBI's investigation into Gene Hackman's mysterious death never reached the public in full. Key documents were locked away, statements were redacted, and before long, the world moved on, just as it always does when powerful forces pull the strings. But those who followed the case knew better. Too many unanswered questions remained. Who was the mysterious visitor who stayed in the mansion after Hackman's death? Why was Betsy given a drug almost impossible to obtain legally? And most importantly, what was on that USB drive labeled Nightmare Files? Some believe Hackman had been collecting evidence for years, trying to expose something lurking beneath Hollywood's polished surface. Others think he may have once been part of the system, but decided to break away and paid the ultimate price for it. But one thing is certain: Hackman didn't just pass away quietly. His death was part of a larger, hidden battle. And while the world may never know the full truth, Hollywood never forgets. Every star that falls leaves behind a shadow. And in those shadows, whispers of unfinished business still linger. Was Gene Hackman's death an accident, a tragic but natural passing, or was it something far more sinister? We may never know for sure, but one thing is undeniable. Whatever the FBI found in his mansion, it was enough to send chills down their spines. And if they're afraid of the truth, maybe we should be too. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment below. What do you think happened to Gene Hackman? Let's discuss.